very much for the invitation to be here. How are we doing now? Okay. Okay, it's a privilege to be here. I've enjoyed what I've heard so far. I've agreed with, I think, pretty much everything I've heard so far. I'm not here representing the Foodbank officially, not Glasgow SW Foodbank that I'm a volunteer with and I'm treasurer of, not representing the Foodbank movement generally. If anything, the people I'm representing are the people that are the most important in the whole Foodbank situation, and that's the people that we are privileged to serve. And they are often people that are the most marginalised, the most vulnerable. So to be able to give them a voice, which I'm sure is something that you do as well, to the most vulnerable society. It was said, somebody said that the reason that people volunteer at food banks and that work in food banks is because of guilt and anger and not because of compassion. Now that was an extraordinary thing to say. I don't know anyone that's involved in it that doesn't do so more out of a sense of compassion than out of guilt and anger. I am angry that we exist. I'm angry at the situation that we find ourselves in, and I share some of the guilt as part of the society that has allowed this to happen. I'm not going to give you details of how food banks work. I'm happy to talk to anyone or communicate afterwards with anyone that wants to know more about the nuts and bolts of it. There's a question that I've quite often started with when I came to the local party. I asked the question, a show of hands, hands up if you, and I'll ask it, hands up if you think food banks are a good thing. So just a show of hands up if you think they're a good thing. And I'll ask hands up if you think they're a bad thing. Okay, I need to explain that. I hope we're doing something that's good and useful, but I think it's absolutely appalling that we have food banks in a rich country. It's just something I will never accept that we exist. I'm sure it's something that you've engaged in campaigning that food banks are a wrong thing. And it's a disgrace that we exist. For me, we're in a sense a litmus paper to society, to show the state of society, or that we're a bit like the canary in the coal mine that keels over when there's toxic fumes about. We are a stain in society. You know, people tend to think, shouldn't you be patting yourself on the back a bit more? We don't think we're doing anything special. We think we're doing something that is necessary, and we deeply regret that it is necessary. Jeremy Corbyn was here in this hall a few months ago, meeting the people who are on the front line of anti-poverty and alleviating poverty. And as I said to him just a few yards over there, we don't actually want to be doing this. You know, this is something we believe is necessary and believe is vital, but nothing would give me more pleasure than for it not to be necessary. Can I briefly introduce who I am? My name is Mcgregor. I'm a volunteer. My parents, my father was from Partick. He was a shipyard worker just across the river there in A&G Ingalls, which was on the site where the Riverside Museum is now. He went in there from school at 15, worked his way up in the drawing office and designed the Waverley and the Maid of the Loch, among others. My mother was from Ridley. Her ambition was to be a doctor, which she was just short of 100 years now since she was born. She died 15 years ago. Her ambition was to be a doctor, but because of poverty in her family, her father lost his sight and his business and his livelihood in pretty short succession, and she, as the oldest sibling, had to go out to work in order to put food on the table for the other siblings and their parents. She eventually, after the war took her away from that situation, was in a position where she trained to be a nurse and so on. And so she partly fulfilled her ambition. They were relatively late getting married, and because of an accident at birth, I ended up in fee-paying education. Not because they particularly wanted that from me, but because I missed the intake from Moss Park Primary by 2 weeks. So I ended up a feeding store because I think they wanted me out from under her feet or whatever, but they felt I needed that. My politics, there's the old saying that if you're not socialist at 20, there's something wrong with your heart, and if you're still a socialist at 60, there's something wrong with your head. Well, taking these in descending order, I wasn't a socialist at 20. I was a Liberal supporter, voter. I've never belonged to any political party, but that was how I voted. I moved more to the left as I got older, and I think I would date the point at which I would describe myself as a socialist as at age about 58, when it was the impact of the Foodbank on me and the sense of the sheer unfairness of it and the ill division that our society is in. For me, socialism is I don't know if I've borrowed this from somewhere, but it's a bit like school dinners, being told there's no seconds until everyone's got firsts. So there's a lot of people in this society of ours don't have firsts, and there's a lot of people who have seconds, thirds, fourths. You can keep counting until the end of the day, and you wouldn't quite get to the scale of that. Why I personally got involved in Foodbank was I was at the time a member of a church. I'm a Christian. That was my reason for getting involved. Don't worry, there was no sermon coming there. But thank you. That was the reason, and I thought that would involve taking a bag of groceries along to church every so often, and it was something that the church to get involved in. But then I got kicked up the backside from the Pope. Not literally, must be said. Fans of Father Ted will be thinking Bishop Gregory at this point. But it was seeing the Pope in the favelas in Brazil, in the poorest of the poor, and seeing the church where I would believe God's priorities, Jesus' priorities were with the poor, with the marginalised and so on. So that was the kick up the backside that I very much needed to get involved personally. And I keep coming back to some of the words of Jesus, which if you put some of these words into your manifesto, you have people laughing in your faces and saying that's far too radical. For instance, if you've got 2 coats and your brother's got none, give him one of them. That's pretty challenging, that's pretty radical. And then I think of one of my great heroes, Cassidy, John McLean, the great John McLean, who I believe there's a story he's told how he only had 1 coat. And he gave that away, even in a harsh winter, with his health broken by his time in Peterhead prison for standing up against the war. So I will find common ground with anyone who seeks to help and to stand with and stand in solidarity with. Solidarity is such a great name for the party, but it's a great name. It's a word that we find very, very important to us in Foodbank as well. Stats and stories, as normally when I'm talking to groups, would be the things that we major on. The stats are horrendous. Now remember, we are not the only food bank in Glasgow, at Glasgow SW. We are not even the only food bank in the southwest of Glasgow. There's our dear friends at the Crooks and Community Group who are doing amazing work. But since we started just under 6 years ago, we've fed nearly 47,000 people. Some of these people have been more than once, so they're included several times in that. But what is worse, somebody needing food once or somebody needing food 10 times. And what is worse than that, of that number, over 17,000 are children, which is appalling. I find that, I find any part of that unacceptable, and that is in some ways worse than the overall statistics. Even yesterday at our branch in Hillington Park Church in Cardonald, we fed 105 people. And I think it's the first time I've seen that happening, that there was 52 adults and 53 children. There was actually more children included in that than there were adults, which is just appalling. Stories, yes, rambling. I'm an accountant to trade, and I sometimes get a little bit carried away with figures. And I was putting in the statistics from our vouchers at the early stages of it, and came to a voucher that was 2 adults and 4 children. And I was thinking, just for a split second, I was thinking, that's going to push our numbers up. And I realised what I had thought and admitted to myself, and I was deeply, deeply ashamed for that, because that was not 6 people going into our numbers. That was a family in the crisis, and we had the privilege of being there to help them. And I hope I've never, ever fallen into that trap again. That is very moving. Thank you. We shouldn't be afraid to admit our weaknesses and our failings and so on, if we can learn from them, if others can be encouraged by them. So thank you for that. We were doing school lunches, very basic packed lunches for children, not school lunches, packed lunches during the summer holidays. And we had a very basic, and Claire, who's our one employee, who lives literally next door to here, she overheard this. There was a wee girl of 7 who had eaten her lunch, but she had a quarter sandwich left. She pushed the plate across to her mum and said, "You haven't money, you've not eaten today." What sort of childhood are we giving to the children that are aware of that? They're also aware that the love that their parent has for them, that they're going without to make sure that they don't. But that is just such an important thing to happen. When it really got personal for me was when we had someone, again in the fairly early days, it was a young mother who had fallen on hard times through no fault of her own, and she had a 1-year-old for whom she was only able to change dirty nappies but not wet nappies. I'll repeat that to make sure I got it the right way around. She could only change dirty nappies but not wet nappies. She was having to leave her child in a wet nappy for far longer than was hygienic or comfortable. And the sense of failure that must have been tempting for her to feel. Since then, we've majored in having nappies available, because that is an appalling thing to have to go without. I have a granddaughter who was in nappies at that time, and I was thinking, what if that was my granddaughter? And I was appalled by that thought. And it made it again more personal. Claire visited a local primary school to here, and she met with the support worker there, and she was showing the contents of a cupboard that support worker and staff had put together out of their own pocket, and it was of snacks and food and so on, because the consciousness was that children were coming to school hungry. I mean, it's a great thing that we have for free school meals for primary 1 to 3, and thank you for promoting that back in the day. But that's the tip of the iceberg stuff and so on. So to see that the schools were doing that, we've come across that happening in many other schools, that children are coming to school hungry. I heard at a Women for Independence meeting, don't ask, that there was a teacher, there was a pupil of primary 4 was really disruptive, had some attention issues, was really disruptive. The teacher found out why he was hungry, and not only was he hungry, he was worried that his wee brother, who was in primary 1, who was also hungry. So great teaching that she took the wee boy aside to speak that she didn't show him up or whatever in front of his peers. They went to the head teacher's room to get toast, which for me was a lovely thing to do and an appalling thing to have to do. Just this last week, we had a lady referred to us by the hospital. She had just buried her husband, so a recent widow. She was there, and she was in need of support. We, of course, were privileged to be able to give her that support. But the people that were putting together the parcel were putting, put extra tea in, put extra coffee in, put the nicest biscuits we have in, because she's going to have a lot of visitors, which I thought was just typical of that. Again, it's lovely that people are thinking like that. It's lovely that people are giving the donations to let that happen. but it's tragic that such a situation should arise. There are criticisms of food banks. I'll be happy to chat with them if you have any others, because I agree with most of them. People will say it's undignified, and of course it is undignified to rely on charity to put food on your table or on and to feed your children and so on, to put nappies on your children. That's undignified. What is dignified is to be able to earn a decent living, with a decent wage, or if you're not able to work, to have a decent welfare, social security net to make a reasonable standard of living be available. That's dignified. Food banks, we're not dignified. People have been stripped of their dignity by the time they come to us. We think of ourselves as providing a fig leaf to give some dignity back and to treat people with as much dignity and respect as we possibly can. There's talk about the lack of choice, which and the fact that it doesn't provide a decent diet, and that is true. We're relying on non-perishable because we're operating at 4 different locations on 4 different days. So we have a little bit of fresh food, but it has to come in on the day and go out of the day, so it's not really practical to do that. But it's not intended to be a permanent diet. Some people think, well, it's not a permanent diet. You know, it's not a balanced diet. It can't be. It's not meant to replace a proper diet. The voucher system, whereby people get referred to by frontline professionals, is criticised for a variety of reasons, one of which is the difficulty there. We're trying to make it as easy to get them as possible. One of the reasons why people are getting referred is because they're dealing with a frontline agency who will hopefully be getting them other help with welfare rights, with housing, with whatever might be the issue affecting them, and we're working in conjunction with those agencies. Checked up, there's 5 agencies in this building hold our vouchers, either present or in the past. Yeah, it's such an amazing building. The Pearson Institute is deserved legendary. We find an awful lot of victim blaming. That people are criticised for going to food banks because they're feckless, because they brought it on themselves, because they've made bad decisions. Well, I think we've all made bad decisions at times, but it doesn't deserve to be visited on people, and it's not the reason for the vast majority of people being there. Anyway, victim blaming we've seen toxically recently in the Grenfell report, which is just one of the most appalling things I've heard, to take the blame for those who had saved money by using flammable materials and put the blame on the residents and the firefighters. That is deeply shameful. So, just going to a close, you often hear, anyone remember blankety blank? That was you had a blank and a word, or a word and a blank. So, blank poverty. Now, I could put a root word in front of poverty. I'm not going to, but you fill that gap in for yourself. But you hear of food poverty, you hear of period poverty, you hear of fuel poverty, you hear of transport poverty, you hear of housing poverty. It's what did the common link get? It's poverty. All of the others are just symptoms, outworkings of that. We are no solution to poverty. Anyone who suggests that food banks are in any way a solution to poverty is absolutely kidding themselves, because we can do nothing to end poverty. We can help to alleviate some of the cruelest outworkings of it, but more than that, we look to others, we look to people like yourselves who will take the fight for justice onwards. So, 3 quotes to end with. I think this came from David Milligan of the Poverty Truth Alliance. There's no shame in going to a food bank. The shame is for society that has allowed them to be necessary. And I would extend that perhaps to the shame to those who have the power to do something about it and have not used that power and have in many cases made the situation worse. vote for ourselves. Our biggest hope as a food bank is to close because we're not needed anymore. Our biggest fear as a food bank is to close when we're still needed. And it can get desperately close between the two. And the final thing, a quote, it's my favourite quote, it's from 1600 years ago, it's from St. Augustine, and it's that charity is no substitute for justice withheld. We are privileged to be able to be a charitable solution, not solution, a charitable response to a much, much bigger issue. But we don't want that to be the case. We want to see justice, and any form of justice that doesn't see the need for food banks resigned and signed to the dustbin of history isn't worth the name. So thank you very much for that.